Back here, first things first, Undisputed coming up right after this show.
A happy family we are.
We are a very happy family. Jenny Taft, I love that dress. How are you, and what are you guys talking about today?
Jenna, thank you so much. I was curious how late you guys had to stay up to watch that game last night. Boy, what a game. We've got so much to talk about it. You have been talking about that Rams-Chiefs game all morning, and we're going to discuss whether it was an all-time classic. And is Patrick Mahomes still the MVP favorite? Plus, Jarrett Bell from USA Today. He was at the game last night. He'll be in studio with us to break it down. Undisputed coming up next. Jenna, back to you.
All right, Jenny, looking forward to it. Back here, we're sticking with that game you just talked about. Patty Mahomes and the Chiefs in L.A. taking on the Rams. We'll pick this game up in the fourth. Rams up 40-30. Mahomes finds Tyreek Hill for the 73-yard touchdown pass. That was Tyreek's second of the day. Chiefs within 3. They'd score a defensive touchdown, but the Rams would retake the lead with this Jared Goff to Gerald Everett TD. Less than 3 minutes to go. Mahomes finds Cris Conley, and that gave KC the lead. But Goff would respond again. Gerald Everett again. 40 yards this time. Rams go up 54-50. 5 turnovers on the night. Rams escaped this one with a win. 54-51 was your final. Sean McVay, big happy. 105 points, over 1,000 yards of offense as the Rams improved to 10-1. Here is Rams quarterback Jared Goff after the win.
That was a crazy game. Crazy game, and it seemed like at the end, whoever had the ball last was going to win. That's what it felt like, and ultimately our defense had 2 turnovers there at the end that proved to be the winning turnovers, and it was back and forth the whole game.
It's the same as when we played New England. I mean, it's just you can't make mistakes against great teams, and when you play these games, I mean, these are the games that you're going to play hopefully in the playoffs, and so you want to make sure that you limit your mistakes, but still at the same time be aggressive and still score points.
It was a whirlwind. I feel like, you know, I might need a couple beverages to relax tonight.
All right, CC, how impressive was this offensive explosion in last night's game?
It was impressive. They moved the ball at will against each other. We saw some tremendous individual efforts. I thought one thing that was shocking with all this offensive output that we saw, it was very, very balanced as far as not only just the yards, but time of possession. It was 46. The Chiefs had the ball 46 seconds less than the Rams had the ball in this whole game. So when we talk about, it's going to boil down to whoever has the ball last, it actually was. And it also gives you a little glimpse in this new NFL that we have to get used to. If you have an elite passer and you got some weapons to be able to throw the ball to, man, you got an opportunity to be able to be really, really special. And that's what the Rams do, even if they weren't playing against the offense like the Chiefs. And the Chiefs do every time they face someone. I love the creativity of both offensive play callers. I love the way that the NFL now has embraced some of the college concepts and are able to utilize the talent of guys now because we have great throwers. So a very, very exciting football game. And for me being a guy who played in this league for a long time, I can get used to scoring more points. Like, I don't mind a defensive struggle, and there's always going to be a place for a good defensive team in this league, but I don't mind if a team can do it up and down. I thought the quality of football was a lot higher than we see in high-scoring games in college.
Right. This was not a Big 12 game. It had a Big 12 score. What a Big 12 game is score, 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 score. This game had 7 turnovers. I would argue all of them forced turnovers.
Yes, that's the key.
It's not like they were terrible passes or bad plays. You could argue the very last play by Mahomes wasn't a forced one. He was forcing the ball with 20 seconds left in the game. But even on that one, he got flushed out of the pocket with a rush.
Right. It was either forced or it was a spectacular effort by a great player.
Well, that's what I was getting to. Is Aaron Donald was amazing. The star of the game, a guy that nobody would have thought, Samson Ebukam. Sorry, I've been trying to get that all morning. Ebukam. I've been trying to get it all morning.
Ebukam. And if you pay a little extra to your word club, they'll throw in also enunciations at the end of the month.
Thank you, Cece. I appreciate that. I'm going to have to hold this L.
Can we marinate the moment of Cece telling you?
correcting me on a pronunciation.
I love
Look at me. Look at me, baby girl.
Okay.
Ebukam.
All right, thank you. He was spectacular.
Sure.
Yes.
He had 2 defensive scores. He had a hand in 4 of the 5 Chiefs turnovers. So, I mean, the defense made great plays. But I want people to understand the history we saw last night. We had never had a game in NFL history both teams score 50. We had never had a game in NFL history a team score 50 and lose. They were 2-16-0 in NFL history if you score 50 points. Now it's 2-17-1. We saw NFL 2018 professional football at its highest level in this regard. You still had star defensive players putting their imprint on the game.
Yes.
And you had 2 absolute geniuses for football-wise at coach putting their imprint on the game. Andy Reid and a young man's version of Andy Reid and Sean McVay saying, I'm going to out-scheme you, and doing it very differently. The Rams traditionally are typically an 11 formation, a little different yesterday with more tight ends involved. The Chiefs are going to have a dozen different formations they hit you over the head with, but no matter what formation was out there, the star players made star plays, and the coaches found ways for guys to get open, and these 2 quarterbacks were spectacular.
Offense, defense, coaching, special teams, are these the 2 best teams hands down in the NFL right now?
I can't say hands down, because if you've been watching the NFL the last 20 years, Bill Belichick going to have something to say about it.
And the Saints, too.
I'm going to get to the Saints. The Saints are the hottest team in football, and they've played head-to-head. So you have New England's played Kansas City head-to-head, and we know, regardless of what their record is at the end, we're going to give New England the respect that they deserve. And they still have the head-to-head over them. Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin getting that big win on the road in Jacksonville, a team that's had their number the last year and a half. They're going to be a part of this. And the Saints with Drew Brees, because if we're talking about the new NFL, who's better at that than Drew Brees? Because he's taking care of the football at a level that we haven't seen. His completion rate and their 2-headed monster in the backfield with Kamara and Ingram, that's something we haven't seen in the league. So, yeah, these 2 teams will be a part of the storyline, but if they're not careful, yes, they won't be a part of the storyline if they don't continue to get better, because we know New England will get better down the stretch.
And I want to talk about the Chiefs quarterback for a minute, Patrick Mahomes, because he and Drew Brees have been the stories of this NFL season from an MVP perspective. He went into this game with 7 turnovers on the year. He left the game with 12 turnovers on the year because he had 5 in this one. I was so impressed by how it looked like he was overcoming the first 3, because there were 2 great plays by Aaron Donald. Yes, he needs better ball security. Yes, he's got to hold on to that football, but those were his 2 first lost fumbles of his career. The first pick he threw was an amazing play by, let me get this, Samson Ebukam, pardon me. But then after that, they were down multiple scores multiple times. He drove them back each and every time. But the most critical play of the game was the biggest mistake he made, which was after the Rams scored to Everett down the sideline. The Chiefs had all 3 timeouts. They were down just 3 points. They had the ball at midfield, and they didn't need a big play. They could be judicious with their play calling. They didn't have to go for the big shot, and he went for the big shot, got his arm hit by the same guy, Samson, and it ended up turning the game.
Yeah, and in that play, he has to realize they have a 4-man rush. They're just trying to play a soft defensive coverage. He's only got 3 receivers off into the pattern. They got 6 defenders that are going to be able to guard them. So in that instance, you can't try to take a chance. I understand a quarterback who's going to take some chances, going to throw some interceptions. I can live with those things. But this is Patty Mahomes, what he's going to have to be able to live with now. Because we've seen 8 games, and he's played spectacular. So you know what I'm getting ready to do, Jenna? I'm getting ready to adjust how many years he's been in the league. I'm getting ready to adjust how much football he's played. Do you know the reason why? Because he's been excellent. We should expect him to be careful with the football. We should expect him to get used to playing in big games. If he's going to live up to the hype that I believe is not just hype, I believe he's that kind of player, that he's going to be a star for a long time. In these big games, we need to see your absolute best, because our best quarterbacks, that's what they've done. So if I'm critical in this game about his play, it's not that I'm disappointed what he's doing. It's because I saw him play 10 games. I know he can take care of the football. So now I'm just going to change my expectations of what I see for him. I believe that's the fair thing to do with someone who's as talented as him.
And the Chiefs' 2 losses, it's bizarre. In their wins this year, they're averaging 35 points a game. In their losses, they're averaging 45 points a game. But the difference has been, I said Mahomes now has 12 turnovers on the year, 7 in his 2 losses, 5 in all their other games in the season. So they've been able to overcome it from a points perspective. But when they get to the playoffs, when they get to, as you mentioned, if they play New England again, he's got to play clean football games. Obviously, 5 turnovers is at least 3 too many.
This was sort of the way we predicted this was going to go. Did anything surprise you? Did you take anything out of last night's game that surprised you, even individual effort or team effort?
I'm not going to say it surprised me, but I knew with Cooper Kupp being out of the lineup, I was talking to Howie Long last week. He said, what are they going to do? I said, this is on Sean McVay. The reason why you hire a 30-something-year-old is for his bright mind, and he's got to put them in position to be able to replace that productivity. So that productivity, it came from others, the tight ends. They played tight ends a lot more than they played any other game. So that, to me, I thought, not surprising, but it's something to look at moving forward.
And now we have in the NFL 3 teams that are on pace to be top 20 all-time scoring offenses, all playing against each other right now. And the Rams, the Chiefs, and the Saints, who right now probably most people believe is the best team in football. It is an